So job analysis and talent management process. What is the idea of this chapter? Chapter 4. The idea is how actually you as a manager try to identify whether you have enough employees or not. Okay, this is the basic definition of job analysis for this particular chapter, in which you as a manager, how do you find whether you have to recruit an employee or not? Meaning to say, what you need to do, you need to analyze the job or works in your company or in the organization. If you found that there is a need for recruitment, then you need to go to the next level, which is recruiting new employees. But prior to recruiting new employees, you should not unnecessarily spending money just to recruit a new employee. You need to find out whether you are you have the shortage of employees or not. And when we talk about shortage, it also about whether you have good quality employees or not in your organization as well. Because the objective of recruiting employees is to ensure that the performance of the organization, the productivity of the organization is increased. Yeah. So how are you going to do that analysis? So in this chapter, there are 5 objectives. We call it LO, learning objectives. So I will share with you on how do we define talent management and what talent management oriented managers do. And then LO number 2, the process of doing the job analysis. Third objective, what are the methods in collecting job analysis information? Number 4, how do you write job description and job specification? Please remember that every new human resource must have a job description. You don't simply recruit employee just for the sake of having extra numbers. Yeah, every human resource, they have their own role to play, and this role to play is what written in the job description. And finally, at the end of this chapter, we discuss about competency-based job analysis. Nowadays, many organizations trying to look for what are the best module, what are the best framework in order to for the employees to follow, so that the performance, the productivity can be increased. Yeah. Okay, so before I go further, what is talent management? What do you know about talent? Yeah? If you remember, early in the semester, I mentioned that I quote a statement that every single employee actually bring a value to the company. Money in, you pay every human resource for the purpose of them to gain profit for you. Yeah. So of course you need somebody who are talented in doing that. So indirectly, I'm saying that every employee is actually a pool of talents employee. You are not hiring those who are just to ensure that you have big numbers of employees, but the expectation is for you to have employees who are talented enough to increase or enhance the efficiency, the effective operation of the organization. So more or less, we are saying that when we do recruitment, when we do recruiting, when we seek employees, we are actually looking for talent employees. Yeah. So what we need to do is, when we do job analysis, we need to decide. We need to decide what position to fill. As I said, we recruit workers. We hire people based on position. Yeah, based on position. For example, how many clerks do we want? How many assistant managers? How many managers? So basically, it is based on position. We are not hiring people, recruiting people because they are human. But we hire because there is a position that need to be filled up. And of course, every position has standard description. For example, what is the salary, how is the process of promotion, and so on. Yeah, so the higher the position, the greater the challenge to hire, to perform the task. Yeah. So remember, uh, you are the manager. You are the manager. So how are you going to decide what position to fill? The second one, once you know what position to fill up, you must have pool of resources. Resources here, I'm referring to human resources. How are you going to identify the job candidates? So you have those internal employees who can be promoted to fill up the vacant or the advertised position, or you may hire by doing advertisement for new recruitment, new employees. So you have these two options, whether you want to promote those who are working in the organization internally, or maybe you open for public new employees. So this is what we call pool of job candidates. And then, of course, you need to have the right form, the right forms to fill up. So when people saw advertisement, they fill up the form. Yeah. So this is basic general knowledge. And then how, after you get the application form, how are you going to process that form, so that at the end of the day, you shortlisted the candidates? So this is the tool of selection. What are the tools? And then once you are satisfied, you call them for interview, and finally you have the right person in mind, and you offer them the job. So what is the letter? How to write that letter of offer, and so on. And then once they are becoming your new employees, you need to have orientation. The purpose of orientation is for them to get what is the vision, what is the mission, what is the goals of the organization, the companies, how to make them, adapt to the culture of the organization. So this happened during the orientation week. And of course, you want your employees to be to go advanced, not only in that position for until they pension and so on. So you need to train them and develop them to become the next leaders. I remember I would like to highlight one very important terms in human resource management, which is succession planning. Yeah, succession planning. I found that most of organizations, they will experience a time in the organization life where they are not perform well. I'm saying that at maybe this company, this particular organization, when they start, and after a few years, they are a good organization. They are they are successful organization, but then there come a time when suddenly this organization or company experience bad performance, and at the end of the day, many of these organization being closed and etc. So basically, I found that through my reading, doing research, I found that it is because of succession planning is not being done. Succession planning is not being done, in which some organization they thought that this particular person who is the star of the organization is going to serve the company forever. They never thought that this particular star could be, could be hijacked by other organization, for example, or in any other cases lah. So what happened is when that time arrived, suddenly the organization, the continuation of the good performance is not happen. So that is important why in any organization, succession planning need to be done, need to be properly addressed. Uh, Otherwise, the sustainability of organization will not happen. Yeah. So nowadays, if you read literature review or you read report in newspaper or watch TVs, you found that the word sustainability of organization is not happening. This is because of one of the reasons is because of succession planning is not done or is not addressed in the early in the organization. Yeah. So succession planning is a very interesting variables to studies. I'm referring to if you want to do research later on in your semester, yeah, succession planning. Last time we experienced UMS as well, yeah. Last time I don't know whether you aware or not. Now we are first in the 6th Vice Chancellor. First Tan Sri Abu, second Professor Datuk Dr. Muhammad Noor, third Datuk Kamaruzaman, fourth Datuk Harun, fifth Datuk Kamaruddin, and the current one is Datuk Taufik. We have 6 Vice Chancellors. And my personal view, I foresee that we might come to a situation whereby the gap between the Vice Chancellor and the Deputy Vice Chancellor is so vast that we will experience difficulties in choosing the next Vice Chancellor. Ini tolak politik, leaving away the political appointment, but in terms of the real appointment, there is a gap between Vice Chancellor and Deputy Vice Chancellor, or there is a gap between Deputy Vice Chancellor and the head of department. So if this problem is not solved, I mean succession planning is not addressed well, then there is a time when the Vice Chancellor is changed or quit and so on, we might have a crisis of leadership. Yeah, crisis of leadership. Tolak tepi politik lah, yeah. But this is what I'm trying to say about succession planning, very important. And this succession planning actually most of the time done during the training and development of the employees. And then we have appraisal, performance appraisal. You use SKT, what else? The measurement, evaluating the performance, whether the KPI is achieved or not, appraisal performance. And finally, you need to think about the salary, the bonuses, the rewards, the hospital allowances. This is what we call compensation. So these are the few steps that you need to be aware of as the manager of organization from the minute you identify what position to fill until they get rewarded through compensation and ended their job successfully or retired successfully in our organization. All right. Okay. So what is job analysis? By definition, job analysis is the procedure through which you determine the duties and skill requirements of a job and the kind of person who should be hired for it. there are two keywords in this definition. The first keyword is what should this new employees do, the duties and skill. And the second one, whether their attributes, their characteristic, their traits, can fulfill that, can bring or can do that expectation of duties and skill. So this is job analysis. So it's very important to make sure that not only they are capable of doing things, but their attributes, their traits, their characteristic just nice to hold particular position. So this is the definition of job analysis. So the basic ideas behind job analysis is that if we explore further the definition, is that job analysis consists of some work activities that need to be done. So when you do the job analysis, you need to consider what job, what works that this particular person is going to do, and how this person, what is the traits, the characteristic. For example, this is common lah. When we want to fill the position of accountant, we need somebody who look very very particular. This is element of somebody who we want to hire as accountant. And if we want to hire public relation officer, we need to look at those who are good in, who are fun, who always look happy. This can be observed when you handle the interview lah, and who can talk out of the box. Talk out of the box. You hold on, my laptop is out of battery. Okay, and then human behavior already. Machine, tools, equipment, and work aids needed. We need also to think about this. Of course, nowadays, if you notice, most of the organization, they need to make sure that their executive, for example, must have a smartphone. This is an example. So nowadays, many things can be done using smartphone. Smartphone is no longer, it's actually part of doing job actually, not smartphone. Because through smartphone, we can read email, we can reply email. Through smartphone, we can scan document. Through smartphone, we can set alarm to wake up early. Just kidding. So machine, tools, equipment, and work aids are needed, need to be considered when you think of doing job analysis. Performance standards, you need to do the benchmarking of the expectation of particular position. And then job context, whether the workplace flexibility. For example, a lecturer, when lecturer, if we interview lecturer, not we interview lah. When I was interviewed as a lecturer, and my experience observing new lecturers, they need to be able to work at any place in performing their duty as good academician. For example, we need to be able to work at many places, such as in the airports, in the mall. I'm referring to Starbucks lah, for example, so that we can continue doing online, continue responding to our students, and especially doing the research job context. Human requirement, for this one, it refers to knowledge, skill, and attributes or ability. Okay, so these are the basic of job analysis that need to be done. Okay, so this is the extension of what are the basics needs to be done in job analysis lah. Usually job analysis at the end of the day, by doing good job analysis, you are able to predict, you are able to get good numbers to hire. And secondly, EEO referring to equal employment opportunity. So basically, EEO is one of the criteria uh, being taken seriously by organization, especially in USA, Europe, and so on. Yeah, they are particular on equal employment opportunity. I'm not saying our country, I mean Malaysia and other countries are not serious on that, but to United States, because I did my study, I did my degree in USA, I still remember there are a lot of discussion based on EEO, equal employment opportunity. We are talking about OKU, we are talking about gender, we are talking about minorities and so on. But that doesn't mean country like Malaysia, China, or other countries, the rest of the countries did not concentrate on that. Only that in their education system in USA, they emphasize on EEO. So in this book, I will not concentrate more on EEO because in my opinion, it is worldwide concern. Yeah, because this book, Gessler, it is authored by American. So I just read it through and I found that it's similar practice in our country in the rest. Performance appraisal, so by job analysis, as I said earlier, when we analyze what kind of employees we want to recruit, of course, we are setting the benchmark, the KPI. So it is related to performance appraisal. Job evaluation, as I said, we are hiring new employee based on position needed. So this position, it has a standard amount of salary to be paid. It has a standard allowances to be paid. It has a standard everything else. Yeah. Training requirement, as I said, succession planning is very important. Succession planning need to be done by training the talent, so that we won't have leadership crisis in the future. Conducting job analysis means that you need to have valid data. You need to have findings. You need to have good finding. You need to have you need to gauge explanation why recruitment is necessary. So how are you going to do this? So the first source is for you to interview each and everyone in the organization. So this thing rarely been done by organization in practice. But when you refer to the book, they always say, the scholars, the authors always says, interview your human resources available in the organization before you go for hiring new employees. The idea is that until you are confident, until you are there is a confirmation that the present employees cannot do the task for the new position, only then you do recruitment. This is the idea. So in order to do the job analysis, you need to do investigation among the current employees. So some of the things that you need to do to get from the employees, maybe not all employees you need to interview lah. Maybe you select some of the employees by random or by position, and then you need to also get both level, the employees, the lower level and the management level. You need to get data info from them, and also you might ask your stakeholders. Stakeholders, I'm referring to maybe the clients, the community, dealing with your organization, so that they will give you the fair inputs why you need to do recruitment. So all this you need to do in the 6 steps. Yeah. Identify how will information be used, review relevant background information, select representative position, collect and analyze data, verify, develop, and at the end of the day, develop job description and job specification. These are the process. How do you get the process? Until the number 6, develop job description and job specification. You need to investigate from among the employees, lower level, upper level, and your stakeholders, clients, communities who deal with your organization. Only then you go for recruitment. And then most of the companies, organization, they talk about BPR, business process reengineering. Business process reengineering, some of the elements include job redesign, job enlargement, job rotation, and job enrichment. Job redesign. Why do we need to redesign job? We need to redesign job because we want to simplify the way of doing the job. When we simplify the way of doing job, it means we lower the cost. So this is part of business process engineering. And job enlargement. Job enlargement, this is the practice where we do multi-skilling. We want the one particular employees to be multi-skills. So job enlargement. At the end of the day, our output production will be greater. Job rotation to avoid boringness. Job rotation to avoid because when people doing the same job task again and again, at the end of the day, they become dull employees. They don't, so it is important to rotate employees. Some of the organization, I noticed, this is from my reading, my observation, they maintain particular employees until they retire, handling same task. So you need to rotate them, but it is applicable. It is not applicable to all nature of business, But if possible, rotate your employees to avoid boring, to avoid making mistake, and so on. And then job enrichment, here we are referring that we give our employees some sort of authority, some sort of flexibility, some sort of independency in order for them to practice their creativity, to practice their ideas. So this is what we call job enrichment. So all this job redesign, job enlargement, job rotation, job enrichment are the elements of business process re-engineering. All right. So we consider BPR when we do job analysis. Okay, next slide. So collecting job analysis information, as I said in the previous slide, we need to gain data from our employees, lower level, upper level, our clients, those who are dealing with us, our organization, in order to get valid data or fair findings. Yeah. So in order to investigate the needs, we need to involve various positions in the organization. And when we do questioning, the question need to be easily interpreted by respondent or by employees when we ask them, so that we get the right info. And method should not only one method. There are many methods. Later in the slide, I share with you some of the methods of doing investigation. Yeah. The first method is qualitative method. Qualitative method is a method whereby you don't have set of items to ask. You usually start with very general question, and at the end of the day, from that general question, their reply, then you formulate new question based on their reply, and then their reply again, you add another question based on their latest reply, and so on. So this is what we call qualitative methods. There are typical questions. You start from general ideas, and it develops into more ideas. And this question, usually you need to structure it. Structured mean if you are asking about marketing aspect, try to ask question related to marketing. If you ask question related to to marketing apa lagi. So what I'm trying to say is that it need to be structured. Don't apa ni many objectives in the question lah. You just focus in what your objective, what sort of position that you are looking at. Of course, there are pro and cons. By using this qualitative, they are simple and quick, but sometimes people may not give you the right reply because maybe it is only their opinions and not facts. And then you need to have guideline of do the interview. First of all, you need to have good rapport with the employees so that they are not feeling worried participating in the interview in answering the question. So once you gain their trust, you might have the right findings. Another method is using quantitative, whereby you have the form, and then in the form you include some of the items, questionnaire, and for them to put the answer either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. A, B, C, D, or E, for example. So this is what we call quantitative. We are using written questionnaire. And usually when we have this quantitative, like multiple choice question, not question lah, statement, at the end of the day, we may include one subjective question. For example, what is your opinion if the company want to recruit 2 or 3 more employees, for example? So they will fill up the blank. So again, this questionnaires quantitative also has, even though it is quick, efficient, and less costly, it's difficult. It is time consuming in developing the questionnaire. Okay. Previously, I'm talking about qualitative. Now I'm talking about quantitative. At the end of your semester, when you do the mini thesis dissertation, this is the methods that you are going to apply. The methods of doing research, either qualitative or quantitative. So more or less the same like doing job analysis as well. Yeah? So basically, doing job analysis is like doing research lah. Until you get the answer, the finding, the conclusion, then you go for recruitment. Similar like doing research. Until you get the finding, then you can say there is a problem which can be solved if this suggestion is implemented. Observation is another method. Participant or diary logs is another method. So basically, there are one method, method number 2, observation number 3, participation, diary logs number 4. So once you have all the job analysis done, now you can do the job description. So again, when we recruit a new employees, we need to identify what position to be advertised. In order to advertise that position, we need to know what is the job description of that position. So this is the part lah. So in the job description, you need to know what is the job identification, job summary, responsibilities and duties, authority of incumbent, standard of performance, working condition, and job specification. So that's why when people enter any organization, the first thing that we as the manager, we as the organization, we must have the job description ready for them to tackle. Yeah, I noticed that throughout my working experience, I had been working for how many times? Cikgu, Mokis, SECO, state government, UMS, six careers, 6 jobs. So throughout my experience, there is a time whereby when I become employee in one of those employer, I don't have the job description. So because of that, I believe I have to, to struggle to perform in my job. Those were the days. Yeah. So remember, if you are a manager, if you have your own company or organization, please make sure you have job description before you hire employee. Yeah, not the other way around. Not the other way around. Because when you do the job analysis, it is about coming up with a job description for the position to be filled up. Yeah. So this is job identification. Remember, job description section, there is a job identification. This is example of job identification. Example of job summary. Actually, relationship referring to who are you going to report to, who are your subordinates, your superior, and who are you need to deal with, and external organization, who are your customers, and so on. And then you write job specification. This is the example. Yeah? What human traits and experience are required to do this job effectively, what kind of person to recruit, and what qualities you should test that person for. So remember, just now I mentioned here, job identification. The last one is job specification. The minute you reach the job specification, then you are ready. Then you are ready to advertise for the particular position. Okay, this slide here referring to the difficulties or the challenges when you do recruitment. Some of the position need an experienced employees. Some of the position not really require experienced person, but technical type of person. So it is found that Dessler in this book mentioned that it is not easy to recruit untrained people compared to trained and experienced people. Yeah, it is easier to recruit trained and experienced people, but not the untrained people. Yeah, because but again, it depends on what position that you are advertising, that you are recruiting. If you need position which is key position in the organization, of course you need a trained or experienced people. But most of the time for unconditional position, I mean normal position, you actually hiring those who are untrained people. Yeah, for example, fresh graduates and so on. But again, even though you hiring them, you need to have the job description, especially on the job specification part, specify the qualities. Yeah. Okay, I think this is the last slide. Nowadays, many organizations, they have sources of benchmarking or sources of references on how actually the company can perform productively. So basically, this competencies model is used as a guideline for any organization to meet the right to make a right decision in hiring employees, because it is already stated there what you need to emphasize on. This is actually a framework being practiced by many organizations. Yeah. So in your mini dissertation or thesis later on, you need to do a research, and in your research, you need to have a theory. A theory in a research is like a driver. It's like a driver in the vehicle. If there is no theory, that means there is no driver, so you are not moving to one place to another place. So if your research doesn't have theory, it is not a good research. And it is actually not a research at all. So competency model is one of the theory. It's one of the theory that can be used in research. Yeah. My PhD thesis is on intention. Okay, the title of my thesis is Intention to Pursue a Career as Academician. Wow, very related to myself. Yeah? Intention to pursue a career as academician. The relationship between passion, role model, perceived workplace flexibility, and career decision making, self-efficacy. And my theory is social cognitive career learning theory, SCCT. So SCCT is like competency model. So maybe in the future, when you do your research, you are doing on human resource management, competency model is one of the theory being referred by many scholars lah. Okay, so I think that's all. This is the last slide lah. Actually, what we say just now is written here. So that's all from me. I open the floor. If you have any question, please.